This Sunday, December 17th, we celebrate the third Sunday of Advent. In our tradition, this is called Gaudete Sunday, which means rejoice. And that line comes from the entrance antiphon of today's Mass, which says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Indeed, the Lord is near." Those are St. Paul's words to the Philippians. And that theme of rejoicing is present in the first reading of today from the prophet Isaiah. "I rejoice heartily in the Lord." And then again in today's second reading, St. Paul tells the Thessalonians, "Brothers and sisters, rejoice always." So why does the Church celebrate rejoicing during this time? It's similar to the fourth Sunday of Lent, which is Laetare Sunday, another kind of rejoicing. The Church knows during this time of penance and preparation, it's good to pause and rejoice and remember God has won, and that the closer we grow to God, the more we get to join in that celebration. There's a difference between joy and pleasure, and Christ calls us to a life of joy. Joy is something that springs up and it bubbles out from you, and it has to be shared with other people. It's focused on other people. I think that pleasure is focused on me, myself, and I. I just want to have pleasure in myself, and that's a self-centered way of living. So to rejoice calls us to begin to recognize my life is not about me, my life does not belong to me, my life is about living for others, and especially living for God. So we try to rejoice. And then in the Gospel for this third Sunday, we have the character of John the Baptist. This is the one of whom Jesus spoke, "There has never been born a greater human being than John the Baptist." Why would Jesus say that? That's the best thing Jesus said about anybody. There's never been anyone born greater than John the Baptist. I think part of the reason is because in today's Gospel, when they came to John, John was incredibly popular. People were coming out to him to be baptized. People saw him as maybe the Messiah. So they asked him, "Who are you? Are you Elijah?" And John said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" "I am not." So they said to him, "Who are you? What do you have to say for yourself?" And John said, "I am simply a voice of one crying out in the desert, make straight the way of the Lord." I think John was great in Jesus' eyes because he knew who he was and who he was not. He was not the Messiah. I think if someone came to me and said, "Are you the Messiah?" I might kind of fudge and say, "Well, maybe I am, you know." That's not the way of a Christian. We know that we have a Messiah and we are not him. We have a Savior and it's not us. So what is our role? Our role is to figure out what part do we play in God's story of salvation. What gifts do you have that you can let God use to contribute to God's story of salvation? When you find that, it's called your vocation. And when you find your vocation, you become fully alive. And then you're happy to play your part. You don't need to be the Messiah. He already came. When we play our part, we serve him and we find great joy.